Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack on Protections. Today I, Bancroft, being joined once again by Jimmy, Jake, and like always, Fluff.
Howdy.
What's going on, y'all?
What's up, people?
And like always, there's buttons. Feel free to click them. They're there for a reason. But today is a very interesting matchup. We got both Fluff and Jake playing against each other. Fluff is bringing back Surge Cell with a bit of a twist, while Jake is bringing the Rangers.
I've played Shenron Rangers at locals before, but I don't know if it ever made it on camera.
I don't think it did.
I think I won a locals with it before and didn't make it to camera.
Yeah. I know I played Shenron Rangers on the channel around the time that I think, Jake, you and I were kind of theory crafting on the deck together.
Yeah. But that was around the time of Harudigar and Broly as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with the new stuff out, I kind of wanted to give it another try.
Absolutely. It's such a fun, good deck.
And anybody that knows, I mean, I don't know why you would know my trading card game pedigree, but if you're one of our local friends and do, you know that I love one-turn kill decks, and this is definitely that.
Yeah. You really ought to check out this Cell deck, because it's pretty good at that shit, too.
Oh, of course it is.
Kind of a peek into the hand. Jake's playing Shenron, so he's going first. He gets to reestablish hand advantage, searching the deck, finding two balls. And we're about to see how deep he can go.
Rip a ball off the top always feels nice.
Yeah, it does. I know a lot of people that like to open Dragon Balls in the Shenron hand, but I always preferred finding the balls on the draws.
So I have played more games of Shenron than probably any other leader in this game, save for Surge Goku.
Yeah.
And I have found that I prefer to start with at least 2 Dragon Balls in my hand, but you can recover from playing without getting any at all. Yeah. It's not the death sentence that it was when Wish first came on the scene.
It makes a huge difference in your overall hand size if you don't open any balls, because activating the leader's effect is essentially a +2 for you every turn.
Instead of going even.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's opening with balls in your hand is more about fitting your deck than increasing the number of cards in your hand, which I kind of felt like I had time to do with you playing multicolor and starting essentially a turn slower than I do.
Yeah.
And given the right conditions with my deck, I can go for the kill on turn 3. And my hope here is that I can just become threatening before you really have a chance to do very much of anything. Because I know that with cards like Ribrianne, and I think later on you put a Golden Ape in the drop area, I'm just going to lose the long game. You're going to be able to grind out advantage, even though I'm playing such a draw-heavy leader.
Yeah, and at this point, the cat's out of the bag. This is Cell Maidens, and if you notice kind of how I'm playing here, I'm not swinging with the lead. I'm not swinging unless you give me a target to swing at. I'm not really doing anything. I'm planning on being reactive completely towards your game. So,
and what's interesting about the cards you have chosen to show me is that all 3 of them that I've seen so far, the Android, 2 copies of Ribrianne, Punishing Passion, and I think it's Zarbuto in your energy?
The Zerlion.
Zerloin, excuse me. Yeah. Zarbuto's the little guy. What was I going to say? You could make a case for all of those cards being in more traditional Cell Surge lists. Yeah. So at this stage of the game, I literally have no idea what your deck does. And you'll see, I think it's this turn, I make a call with a Meki Kubora that it essentially is completely wasted. I don't know if you even run the card that I call here.
Yeah. Here I'm considering negating the attack with Kakunsta and blowing up your 4-drop, but if I'm not mistaken, he has barrier.
He does.
So I ended up not doing it for that reason, and I could have spent like an EDK, but you're just now taking me to 7 life, so I'm okay eating that 1 attack. You're going to activate assembling the squad after you awaken. This is going to let you play out, and I think here is where you play out the Mecha Kabura, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it's this turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you call, I believe you called Cell 6 here.
I did. I thought you were a more traditional Cell Surge list, and you were going to try and play a lot of cheap guys, and then successor into the Cell, and maybe pop my Dark Power, is how I thought your turn was going to go. I really had no clue what you were up to.
Yeah. This deck is all about... If you look at a lot of the components, the deck was built to just be reactive, to control what my opponent is doing. So at this point, I just want you to put out a couple battle cards that I'm going to end up taking care of, using the leader's effect to dig top 5 and find a card that I want to add to hand. And you remind me a few times in this, you don't reveal the card added. And it's such habit to reveal cards that are added to your hand. But where this leader doesn't specify you to add
a certain type of card,
you can just add anything. And then you discard from your hand. But the deck has plenty of great discard targets. There's the 9-drop Cell that I'm dropping now, I believe. There's Ribrians. I run the 2-drop Zarbons. I run Draw Apes. There are plenty of just good draw targets in this deck.
Yeah,
or drop targets, rather.
That was something that really impressed me with your list, is that the traditional problem with Cell Surge is kind of the discussion with the Dragon Balls we were having earlier over again, is that he never really increases the number of cards in his hand on his own. He only filters card quality. Mm-hmm. But if everything you're putting in your drop area generates you advantage on the back end, your leader is essentially pick any card out of the top 5, then draw 2. Or pick any card out of the top 5, then your opponent drops 2. Or then draw 1, pick up a life. Like, there's just so many options that your drop targets provide you that it really turns the Cell leader around.
Yeah. I was actually surprised at how consistent it was. Because when I threw the engine together, I was like, oh, okay, we're going to have Android 13 that can do some cute stuff. We'll have Maidens that can do some cute stuff. And if I'm lucky, I'll be able to fulfill my win condition. And the frequency at which I was able to do any of those things at the time that I wanted to do it was near 100% every game.
Yeah, I was very impressed with this Cell Maidens list, and I'm not sure how popular it is nationally, but I think if people pay more attention to it, and especially if it gets into the hands of some more seasoned yellow players, I really think that this deck could take off in popularity.
It absolutely could. There, I tried to play another Android 13, and I was like, oh, shoot, they have Unique.
Yeah, this style of Cell list, the type of strategy that Fluff is playing has been played before and was tested pretty early on with, but I don't think anybody's really played a lot with the new Maidens package, which is incredibly powerful and I think is kind of being put to the side due to people's opinions on green.
Yeah.
And people are not giving the light that it deserves, because like that 5-drop Zorloin, that card is fantastic. Like
that card does a mind-blowingly insane amount of stuff, and like in 2 different spots on the card, it says play a level 4 or lower green battle card. It doesn't say Universe 2. You could literally play that Android 13 out when playing the Zorloin.
Yeah, you can get about 8 energy of value off of a 5-drop. And of course, that is a 5-drop, and spending 5 energy in this game is usually looked down upon. But then you can have stuff like this new Ribrianne and put a Jamez on field, and now all of a sudden
it's a 3-drop.
He's a 3-drop. If you're playing Xeno Maidens, you put 2 Jamez, he's a 1-drop.
Yeah.
Like, it's a absurd amount of value off of that card with just a very small package.
I think he's still a 2-drop because he's 2 specified green.
In Xeno Maids, Xeno removes the specified cost.
Right, in Xeno, but yeah. But in Cell, he's still a 2-drop, but a 2-drop is still fantastic.
Oh yeah, for the value that card is.
And this Ribrianne card that I just added to hand is such a wild card. It is so punishing. Every time I played that card during this event, I was just thrilled with how good that card was.
It's a very solid card.
Yeah. Pass the turn to Jake. My Android 13 pops 2 of your cards, which lets you play the SS3 Tag Team Gohan from your hand.
That card was huge for me all day. It was pretty instrumental in games that I won after this game, and it's pretty solid in this game too. Like, anytime you can play a 15k blocker for free, it's just incredibly solid. Like, it even threatens your leader at this stage of the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even once you awaken, it's still a threatening card because it's still a 15k swing. That card is still really good in black variants. And
I think a lot of that value of the card is diminished by the blocker. Most people will set on that as a defensive option. But if you look back to like the days of U3 Boo, that card was what made the deck go.
Yeah.
Like being able to put that out.
Or even early versions of Ajax. I mean, you'd basically just use that as a connector point card, where it was kind of like a mid-step between your different plays, but you'd swing with that card as a 15 and make your opponent waste a combo, trying to not take damage from it.
I mean, it's even used in Hatchak and things like that. And my goal here was to assembling the squad for another Meki Kabora, but I remembered I literally can't play another one this turn because I did last turn. So I kind of just have to let Fluff do whatever he does now, and completely wasted one of the most powerful effects in my deck.
Yeah, you passed with 3 open energy here, I believe. And it immediately set me back a little bit because I'm sitting here thinking like, oh gosh, like he's got 3 open energy. He's got a Deborah in hand or something like that is just going to turn off whatever card I'm trying to play.
Well, it's turn 4, Surge Cell. I'm thinking it's about time I get Xeno'd or some other disgusting thing is going to happen to me. So I'm trying to pass with as many cards in hand as possible, as many blockers on the field, and as much open energy as I can possibly muster. See, I even leave the cop in active mode, even though I have another chain ready to go.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to give you another card to kill me with.
Yep. And it really made me think really hard about this turn, about what I wanted to do. Because I know what I want to do is going to cost 4 energy. And I don't want to expend and tap out my energy if next turn is going to be the turn that you're going to go into your Shenron chain.
Real quick, I want to make a comment. Because you mentioned earlier, during this matchup, Fluff forgot that he does not have to reveal the card from Cell, but you've been doing that every single time.
Well, it's hit or miss. It's hit or miss. If we pull up the footage, there's a few he does and a few he doesn't.
Right, like last turn, I didn't reveal that.
So the first and third turn you did.
Yeah, I made a comment during the game. I was like, I think you're just trying to mind game me by revealing cards you want me to know you have.
Which were always Dr. Zero. Funny enough.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
It's all part of Fluff's plan. Don't listen to him.
Yeah, it's all one giant meta game here. I play the Jimez, and I'm hoping that it baits out some reaction. Jake didn't move. He didn't even consider it. And so then that kind of told me, okay, I have to push here. I have to do something because I'm pretty confident if I leave the field as it is, I lose the Jimez or I lose the Ribrianne to going into the 5 and 6 drop on Jake's turn. So I have to just deal with this board, and I don't know the best way to do it. And the only way that I can figure efficiently is to go on ahead and just clear the field. So I'm kind of debating, if I do this, I tap out, and I'm kind of at the mercy if Jake has another 1-drop in hand and can put out a 4, then go into 5 and 6 at this point. So that's what I'm kind of debating the merits of. I can't remember if I try to clear the field or if I just hedge my bets and pass turn with 3 open energy.
Which in a more standard green deck, if you had a Unison out, tapping out would not be an issue due to the value of Dormant Potential.
Yeah.
You
But
can't use it though.
yeah, in this list you do not run Dormant Potential, so you have to really worry about what you're doing, what you're putting on the field.
Yeah.
And how much energy you leave open and the value of cards in your hand to focus on defending.
Yep. And Ribrianne, Avatar of Affection, comes in, blows your opponent's field up, ignoring barrier. So it's actually 1 card cheaper than the Majin Vegeta Unison.
And I was wholly not expecting it. Even though he grabbed it last turn, I was just so frustrated by the fact that I had wasted all my resources. Like, the Gohan would have been huge right there. Saving Meki Kabura for another turn would have been big until I knew more about his deck. But
now, you grab the Kai here. Would it have been better for you to grab the 1-drop Cataplasma and search your deck for like another 4 or a 5?
it would have, but there weren't any more in my deck.
That is one of the struggles of playing against this Cell deck, is because I'm not swinging into your life until I'm ready for you to die.
My strategy as well.
Right. And I'm okay with you not awakening me. So I'm just looking for whatever card that I can add here that's going to do the best for me. At this point, Super Android 17, which is one of my win conditions, is not as effective against you because I'm basically paying 3 energy to successor on, and then I would crit 2 from your life to take you down to 4, which would be really nice, but it's also not completely needed. Here, I'm getting rid of the Jimez. I used its effect to warp itself, and then I used Ribrianne to play another Jimez out, since I no longer have a Jimez on the field. And I'm basically trying to see what I need to do if I can kill you this turn, or if I can math it up, because one of the difficult bits about this deck is making sure that you have the right number on the field. Because you run 5s, you run 4s, you run 3s, you run 2s, and you run 1s. And then, of course, the 9 Cell and the Super 17. So mathing and making sure that you have something on the field, like board disruption, would probably make it incredibly difficult to pilot this deck.
Where my deck is pretty based on not interacting with your opponent and just kind of letting them do their thing and blocking and defending until you're ready to kill them. Yeah. So not really the best matchup for the old Space Cops.
Yeah.
Which I personally have never been a fan of the Catapesla chain due to how fragile it is. And I know a lot of people have had success with it, but it's just such a glass cannon, but it's a very powerful glass cannon.
Yeah.
And I've seen Jake play it before. I've seen Fluff play it before, where they just rocket off, and it's like a absurd amount of attacks for such little energy. And the new one drop from Battle Evolution makes it no energy. I think it's you pay 1 for it, then you pay 2, and then the rest of your turn is basically free.
Yeah, free evolves for the rest of that turn. Yeah, so you can do some pretty gross stuff given the right setup.
Yeah, it does a lot for the Catapesla player having that new 1-drop.
Mm-hmm.
It does a lot as far as consistency. So here, I'm basically just trying to get Jake to waste more resources. Wasting more cards is good for me at this point, because if I can get his hand down pretty low, and I think at this point you have like 9 or 10 cards in your hand.
It's a pretty decent hand size. We'll see here in a second.
Yeah. And I know that, I could go on ahead. I can't remember. I don't think I surge up on this turn. Like, I never wanted to awaken Cell all night. I pretty much wanted to leave him on the front side to just get that dig for the things that I needed pretty much all night.
Yeah, it seems like in your list, if the beetle is on his back, then he's in trouble.
Yeah. Being on the backside pretty much means that I'm afraid of something happening. So here, I'm going to go on ahead. I'm going to drop Zeno Cell. Get to hit 3 cards out of Jake's hand and see what happens from here. So he's got 10 cards, so I'm going to hit 3 out of hand. I hit a Protector of the People, a Tag Team Gohan, and Max Power, which could not have been better hits. And I swing, and you just scooped.
Yeah, I know what's in my hand, and you hitting both of my negates there. Like, I maybe could have comboed. I had a super combo left. So maybe I could have comboed out of one of the quad strikes, but not both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching, I was standing over this game at that moment, and Jake laid it out there, and I was looking at Jake's hand beforehand. I was like, okay, Fluff, he has so many cards here, he just has to go around those 2 cards, and Jake's got this. Like, Jake can probably get a clap back. And then immediately Fluff just picks those 2.
Yeah.
I think Jake turned to me. He's like, he watched me put my cards down.
I said, I looked at Jimmy, and then I looked at Fluff, and I said, you saw him going down.
And I get why you would think that.
Yeah,
but
you ripped the first 2 negates in the beginning. It's a feels bad moment. I know you didn't actually. If you did, that's my fault. I flashed you the cards as I laid them on the table.
No, I try not to pay attention to my opponent's hand while we're playing, because I know sometimes if you're fidgeting with your cards, you'll accidentally drop a card. Not you specifically, but it can happen. And I would rather not play without that knowledge unless my deck is designed to gain that knowledge by peeking at the hand. So it's not fun to me in that respect.
I feel that.
And this Cell deck, while it is incredibly good, and I don't think it's on camera anymore this week, but the Cell deck is incredibly unfun to play. Like, it is fun in the aspect of, like, it has a lot of branching decision making, but it's a lot like Invoker, like U7, where you don't have to really play the game with your opponent. You just have to keep your opponent from playing the game effectively. And that's really what the deck felt like.
That's a strategy in and of itself. It honestly, to me, it seems like a fun deck to play, because I always enjoy those decks where you're not necessarily playing a supported chain or cohesive package, but you're just playing goodstuff.exe. And just the raw value of each of your cards is better than the raw value of the chain decks or the quote-unquote theme decks. And you just win out through playing a tighter game. And I always like piloting decks like that.
And with that being said, thank you. Oh, we got one more thing. Sorry.
Nope, I was just agreeing with Jake. Cell is one of those where it's almost not even. It's playing completely reactionary to what your opponent is doing, and it just waits until it's ready to drop its win condition. Which, unless the win condition is lifed somehow, that deck has an extremely good opportunity to close the game out when it's ready to. So that's it. You can close it now.
All right. Well, that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Like I said earlier, there's buttons. Feel free to click them. Jimmy, last words.
I usually go Jake first. That's a little odd. I usually think about what I'm going to say while Jake's talking.
Yeah, but I'll throw you off, though.
Yeah, of course you do.
Jake?
If you want to win, you have to practice. If you don't have time to practice, and you can't watch videos at Attack on Productions, just read cards.
Yeah.
And before I bounce to the fluff, is that enough time for you, Jimmy?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you have trouble with the game, just learn how to read first. Because that's pretty important to be able to read cards, as Jake suggested.
Fluff, would you lead us out?
Yeah. If you're really tired of having friends, play Cell Maidens. I promise, all of your friends will thoroughly hate you for it. I hated the general interaction with my friends that I got after every game this week. And I'm like, yeah.
Fluff apologized after every single match.
Yeah.
Like,
I literally was like, I'm so sorry.
It wasn't even like the shitty apology. It's like, man, it sucks that you lost. It was like a genuine, actual apology. Like he even asked me at one point, like, "Are you upset with me?" And I was like, "No, bro. Like, I just fucking hate you."
This was not a Gary Oak. Sorry, is what we're saying.
I'm also pretty sure I asked Jake if he was upset at me after our game, and because it just feels so bad when you're basically playing against your friends and you're basically saying, nah, I don't really want you to play this game that we love together. So if you don't value your friendships, play Cell, because all the other people are complaining about how Dormant and Demigra are broken and need to get banned because they're the problem cards in green. But here's a piece of advice, and then I'll close it out. Hand destruction is the problem in this game. It's not any specific card. It is the mechanic of hand destruction.
Hey, maybe you hate everybody at your locals. In that case, when can we expect the Cell Surge profile?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for it. The video is aptly titled How to Lose All of Your Friends. As always, read your cards, know your plays. Let us make the mistakes so you don't have to, and fluff out.